Today we're at the Cliff House and we're talking solar exposure. We're overlooking the beautiful Pacific Ocean from an office that gets a lot of exposure in the daytime. How are we going to make it more comfortable? I'm Dave Edwards.
I am Juan Flores.
And let's get to it. So we're in the office of the house, Juan, and this has got to be one of the most amazing spaces that I've ever seen in a house. I mean, we really do overlook the Pacific Ocean, but this house has actually got a history. And during the pandemic, when the clients bought this house, it was actually a great place for the homeowner to come and work during the day. But unfortunately, it faces directly west. And as we know in California, any space that faces directly west gets a lot of light in the evenings, especially in the summertime, and it heats up a lot. And so we really need to think about how we make this space more comfortable, right? So that when the homeowner is here working, they can be comfortable in this space and not be distracted by the fact that they're sweating on Zoom calls. So what we want to do is we want to look at light and energy. So tell me a little bit about the glass that we have installed here.
Yes. So we replaced the windows. This is windows is R7 triple glass panels, which is prevent the heat from the sun that came from the sun. So I mean, it's keeping more safer and more efficient.
So that's like an R7. That's like two and a half times what normal glass and normal windows would be that we kind of see in a normal house, right?
Correct. Yeah, the normal typical windows, I mean, is double panels, and this one is three glass panels, which is making more efficient.
Okay. And then what about, I know that there's something called solar heat gain. And solar heat gain is a film that they can put on the glass to stop light. Do these windows also have that film to stop that light from coming in here?
Correct. Yes. Actually, that's one of the biggest efficiencies on the windows. So the first glass panel, so that's what it makes just to prevent the
thermal
the thermal.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it. And so then the solar heat gain coefficient film blocks that light from actually coming in and warming up all the surfaces inside the house, making the house or making this room specifically a lot more comfortable, especially in the summertime.
That's right.
Okay. Now I also noticed, and we've talked about it in other videos, that you've actually furred down the ceiling in here. Tell me a little bit about why you did that and how how your selection of insulations affected the comfort of this space.
Yes. So as we talked before, and everything's got relative windows and insulation. That's part of the same concept, efficiency. So we furred the roofs, the rafters, or the joists.
Okay.
Just to increase the
depth.
The depth.
Okay.
So we can add more insulation and make it more efficiency.
Okay, so is it just normal insulation like fiberglass, or are you doing something special? Because I also see that we have a lot of steel up here, and we know that steel is highly conductive, meaning that if we don't somehow keep the steel from either being on the inside of the house or the outside of the house, it's going to allow all the heat to go through the steel. So what are you doing here that's different than you would normally do on a project?
Correct. So in this typical house, we're gonna use different ways. Insulation.
Okay.
So it does different types of insulation, but in this specific house, we're gonna use 2-inch closed cell
foam.
Closed cell foams. I mean, just to use as a vapor barrier.
Okay.
And giving it a more airtight.
Okay.
And then below that, we're gonna add it on a rock wall.
Okay.
Just to create the efficiency on the insulation.
Okay, so we try not to use closed cell foam because it's got a really high global warming impact on the environment. So not only are the refrigerants that are in the foam pretty damaging to the ozone and to the atmosphere, but there's actually a lot of embodied carbon in that material. So that material takes a lot of energy to produce. And various studies have been done, but the return on investment for as far as kind of the energy efficiency versus the amount of energy that it uses suggests that closed cell foams can take, between 20 and 80 years to recover the amount of energy. And so we really don't like to use that material. But in this case, being so close to the water And having fairly limited space to put insulation and such high solar exposure, we wanted to really air seal this space. And so what we're doing is we're spraying the foam not only behind the steel so that the steel is actually insulated from the outside, but we're actually making it so that the closed cell foam seals this entire attic, and then we can fill the rest of that space with a much lower embodied carbon insulation. And what we get is this, it's called a flash and bat. And what it does is it really, really insulates and seals, air seals that space to make that room underneath much, much more insulative and comfortable. And that's really a big thing about these types of projects is, again, we have to design the energy efficiency into the project. We can't just use the standard energy efficiency model where we can do it on every project, because every project is different. This project is right next to the water, so we need to think about moisture transmission and vapor barriers, and we need to think about vaulted space and steel. So if you're interested in learning more about building science or following our projects like this, hit subscribe as we show you how to build a better way.